Hello there, you're welcome to CNR Extra on Citi TV. My name is Asafotufiam. Coming up. Police begin investigations into the discovery of over 8,000 seedlings raised for the 2022 Green Ghana project at a dump site.
So the police is conducting investigations, and then we will be informed when they have some conclusive, information.
Also coming up, Ghana Journalists Association protests a decision by the Ada Traditional Council to ban Radio Ada from covering this year's edition of the Asafotufiam Festival.
The GJA believes the imposition of restriction on the radio station and its reporters is unjustifiable. In fact, it is an affront to press freedom.
Still ahead, Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral dismisses reports that some of its members have resigned.
There is not a single cathedral member who has resigned. And I categorically state this, that even Dr. Mensa Otabel, up till today, is always on.
And later, Inspector General of Police reiterates the decision of the service to reject the tag that it is the most corrupt institution in the country based on research and surveys done by various groups.
A couple of people who are doing things in a corrupt way punishing the area of service. We never said that. We are doing all what we can to handle it. But we will never accept the fact that we are the most corrupt institution.
Many thanks for choosing us this hour. Let me say good morning to you out there, and good morning to you, Jude Mensah Duncan, who's joined me in studio.
Thank you so much, Nana.
Right, you're welcome. Let's go straight into our stories. Let's start from home because the president of the Ghana Journalists Association appears not to be happy with some decisions taken by the Ada Traditional Council.
Ghana Journalists Association, that's the GJA, has described the decision by the Ada Traditional Council to ban Radio Ada from covering this year's edition of the Asafotufiam Festival as an affront to press freedom.
The Ada Traditional Council a week ago informed Radio Ada not to pitch camp at the festival grounds to cover the festival of alleged verbal assaults against some of the chiefs by some presenters of the station. Citi News' Kweku Eduamansan has more in this report.
A communique from the Ada Traditional Council to the management of Radio Ada indicated that the radio station is barred from setting up a live studio on the event grounds, neither would chiefs allow for media interviews. Citi News gathers that the blacklisting of Radio Ada began when the station was denied an invitation to cover the official launch of the festival on June 13. Subsequently, the management of Radio Ada wrote to the Ada Asafotufiam Planning Committee to draw its attention to the matter. Engagements between the leadership of the Traditional Council and Radio Ada later on to resolve the matter proved futile. The Traditional Council has cited, amongst other reasons, verbal assault by 3 staff members of the radio station on chiefs of the area. However, the Ghana Journalists Association views the decision by the Ada Traditional Council as a dent on press freedom.
Whilst appreciating the concerns of Neneme, as indicated above, especially what they described as unrefined language used to address them by program hosts of the radio station, the GJA believes the imposition of restriction on the radio station and its reporters is unjustifiable. In fact, it is an affront to press freedom as guaranteed in Article 21, 1A and F of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana and Article 19 of the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. With all due respect, the Ada Traditional Council does not have the right or powers to impose such restrictions on Radio Ada and its staff. We also consider the barring of the 3 reporters of Radio Ada from wearing the paraphernalia of the radio station, and particularly the mention of their names, a threat to their lives and that of their family. We should be mindful of how such public disclosure of names of journalists has led to the killing of such journalists, and we should refrain from such actions.
According to investigations by the GJA, the matter has been reported to the National Media Commission for further address. The GJA says it is reliably informed that the police have increased security for staff of Radio Ada to forestall any untoward situation in the future.
The GJA calls on the Ada Traditional Council not to take the law into their own hands, and that it should endeavor to use the due process of law to address its concerns. The council must also refrain from actions that have the tendency to endanger the lives of the radio station and its staff. We also advise Radio Ada and its staff to refrain from using insulting or unacceptable language in the discharge of their duties. They should endeavor to exhibit high professional standards at all times. We however, encourage them to continue to discharge their constitutional mandate as provided in Article 162(5) of the 1992 Constitution.
The Ghana Journalists Association believes that the decision by the Ada Traditional Council to prevent Radio Ada from covering the Asafotufiam festival this year is an affront to press freedom. They are thus calling for both sides to resolve the current impasse to allow press freedom to reign. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Kweku Ediamansa.
Well, the issue with the Ada radio station and the traditional authorities dates back to somewhere in January. If you recall, there was an attack on the radio station somewhere in January. But clearly there's a challenge with respect to, the broadcasts by the radio station and, of course, the traditional authorities and what they deem as an attack on the chiefs of the area. But you see, for a GJA president, I have a little bit of a challenge with his posturing on this matter, because after the festival, the radio station must continue to work. And if we take such a posture and do not adopt dialogue, what happened to dialogue? Listen, this is the traditional authority of the place where the radio station operates. This is a private business. The traditional authority there are the ones that preserve the society or the community there. So, it would have made, for want of a better word, more sense for the GJA leadership to approach the traditional authority, dialogue with them, if need be, apologize on behalf of the radio station, rather than go ahead, organize a press conference with such wording.
If you listen to some residents in the community, they tell you that Radio Ada has become sort of a part of the makeup of the community. A lot of the people depend on Radio Ada for their information. And it's become a really major stakeholder in the community. And that's, of
course, having operated for over 2 decades,
you can't deny that in the community. I agree with you when you say the wording and the language used by the GJA president was quite strong. Mind you, this is somewhat one of his first major engagements since becoming the Ghana Journalists Association president. So I was thinking, I was of the view that we would sort of find a peaceful approach, try to even work behind the scenes first before coming out to speak on the matter. I don't think using force to meet force is the best way to address some of these problems. So for me, it's very unfortunate. But to be very frank as well, I think the Traditional Council also didn't help matters with some of the comments and decisions they've taken. For me, the profiling of the journalists, mentioning their names and inciting the residents against them, it's very unfortunate and could lead to very disastrous consequences, because people could just, you put them in harm's way when you do some of these things. So for me, the profiling of the journalists was very wrong on the part of the Traditional Council. But if you look at the merits of the case, maybe there may be very genuine concerns about a breach of press freedom, because why would you not want to allow the radio station to cover an event as important as this?
But then, Jude, I beg to differ on this. We should be careful what we throw under the umbrella of press freedom. This is my event. The festival is for the traditional authority. This is my event. And I say physically, I do not want you at the grounds. How is this a breach of press freedom?
But like we already established, it's become part of the makeup of the people. It's become an avenue where they depend on it for information. So it's very difficult to, it's a very dicey situation, you must admit. But I don't think the approach the factions, both factions have resorted to is the best way forward. I feel a lot of discussions need to go on. Let's get proper stakeholder engagement and let's see the way forward. We understand there are some undertones and there are some things we cannot confirm happening as to why it's led to some of these things. But I mean, clearly for me, I feel there's some sort of an infraction really on the rights of the radio station to carry out their duty. I mean, if you are banning them from even participating in the festival, I mean, mind you, for a radio station, the only avenue is not to just broadcast. I mean, you do events, you do promotion, you do. So I mean, you're sort of stifling the growth of the station. And for me, that is a worry, especially when issues of unemployment and all of these things are coming up. So maybe the traditional council should reconsider their approach with regards to this Asafotufiam festival. I don't think the way both factions are going is, but we want to call for calm heads to prevail, and the GJA should be the leading
exactly, because you see, I mean, we have people from that area who are journalists, senior journalists. You could easily go to them, have them lead you to the authorities, and then let's make peace. I mean, we could have settled this without even going to the extent of. My problem is with organizing a press conference in Accra when the issue is happening down there in Adan. I mean, have we even sought audience with the traditional authorities? Have we heard them, apart from the statement or letter they wrote to Radio Adan? Have we heard them? Do we know the reasons for which they say what they are saying? I mean, if it will make sense to have both parties sit at the table with a mediator in the middle, and then we iron this out, and then, because you see, beyond the festival, like I did mention, the radio has to work. And the radio station would also be gaining some revenue from organizing events there. Now, if you're going to organize an event, you need a public space. If the traditional authorities decide that, okay, we're stopping you from using our park. You get what I'm saying? So clearly, it doesn't look like a fight the station can win against the traditional authorities. If they should go on this particular trajectory, let them meet, have a sit down, have some elders from the community or here. I mean, we have leaders in this country who can lead the front to go negotiate these conversations. Let's go apologize, and then who heads prevail.
I see you're very hard on the apology part. I mean,
because it's really important.
To be fair, let's be very careful, because it's like I was saying, it's a very gray and dicey area. I mean, radio stations do not exist to please people.
Clearly,
you can't be in the business of pleasing people all the time. And I mean, for some of the backstories we've heard, I mean, conversations about they taking on certain instances or happenings in the community is what has led to this particular one. If they feel in any way, the traditional council feel in any way that they've been slighted, that is why I believe the law cost exists for some of these reasons. So take them on legally and let's address or face the facts on a merit by merit case. But to sort of just under the guise of traditional leadership, sort to just bully them. I want to call it bullying. I think it's not right. But again, like I'm saying, the GJA approach to this is very key. I would have expected that as GJA president, you do some sort of behind the scenes checks. I want to believe he did that, but listening to him yesterday,
you don't get that sense
to me that he did that. So it's interesting, but we want cool heads to prevail and let's move forward. So businesses are not destroyed.
Perhaps the traditional authority should also not be so strict, because at one point or the other, whether we like it or not, they may need the radio station to propagate some of their own issues for them. And so, yes, I mean, compromise. But then again, we should know that we are ruled by a constitution, and we should not be taking the laws into our own hands.
I feel like clapping for you for this near perfect summary.
You can also join the conversation. The WhatsApp number is 0550-585832. Let's move on to some other stories. And somewhere earlier this year, some seeds were collected to aid the Green Ghana project. We understand that some 8,000 have been discovered at a dump site. Take a look at this clip.
Now, about 8,000 seedlings raised for this year's Green Ghana Day project have been found at a refuse dump site near Ofin Forest Reserve at Bosofo in the Asante-Mampong municipality in the Ashanti region. Now, officers of the Forestry Commission at Mampong say some of the seedlings were still alive while some were dead when they visited the dump site to get the information. Police at Mampong have, however, said investigations have begun into the incident. Citi News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani reports.
Officers of the Forest Services Division of the Forestry Commission at Asante-Mampong during their daily routine saw a Kia truck moving out of the refuse dump site, and they later found these seedlings dumped here. Efforts to trace the vehicle were not successful.
We came here, this is a plantation site, YA plantation site, and we came here for work when we saw a Kia truck moving out from the refuse dumps. So we thought maybe they came to do illegal logging over there. So we were tracing the Kia truck to find out what they came here to do. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the car. So we came back and traced to the site when we saw those seedlings dumped on the ground.
Out of the 8,011 seedlings found at the dump site, 5,891 seedlings were categorized as healthy, while 2,120 seedlings were dead after a sorting exercise. The Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, John Alote, was in the area to inspect the success of seedlings planted under the Green Ghana Day project and ascertain reports of the dumped seedlings.
There was a total of 8,011. So, as I said, almost close to 6,000 have been recovered and planted. The rest have been sent to the nursery. The seedlings that are bad have been removed. The polythene sacks and the soil would be reused for further planting. Seedlings could come from two sources. They could be seedlings which form part of the Green Ghana, they planting seedlings. They could also be part of maybe private nurseries that have raised seedlings, maybe hoping to sell to the Forestry Commission for the Green Ghana activities, and probably were not able to sell.
He says, although the police in the area have confirmed that investigations have begun into the incident, the commission is also making efforts to assist the police.
So the district manager went ahead to report to the police at Mampong here. We've been there to confirm from the police. They said the report was made on the 4th of August, and then they are going ahead to conduct investigations into that. We also have visited the divisional commander to confirm same. So we are waiting for the investigations from the police, but we would wait for the police to finish their investigations. Meanwhile, we sent information around for citizens who may have seen the truck move away from the refuse dump. So that's how come this information went around for people to know that we found these seedlings somewhere around the refuse dump, and we needed anybody who had some information or had seen the truck move from the place. So that's how come the information went around the Mampong district. The police, as I said, the police is conducting investigations, and then we will be informed when they have some conclusive, information.
Officials of the Forestry Commission have called on the public to volunteer information on such incidents.
It always breaks my heart to see, the taxpayers' money go to waste. But you see, if really it is confirmed that these seedlings were raised for the Green Ghana project, then of course, every district, we know who we handed over the seeds to for onward distribution to the public. We know in whose care we left these seedlings. We should be able to tell how many were given to individual A, who holds or wields authority A. And then we should be able to tell how many seedlings were planted on the day and how many were left. Do the plus and minus, and you will know who to go to directly.
I agree with you, Nana. I mean, for the uninitiated, the Green Ghana project was an aggressive national forestation and reforestation program to restore lost forest cover and also part of global efforts to mitigate climate change. So it was launched in 2021 by the president, and some astonishing 9.6 million Ghana cedis went into this particular project.
So you see why I'm pained.
That is the exact point I'm coming to. I mean, so for me, this is a clear case of causing financial loss to the state. So if it's indeed ascertained that these
seedlings were raised for the
project, then I mean, heads should roll and people should be made to face the brunt of the law. But I mean, the good news reading around this particular story is that some about 5,891 seedlings are in good condition. So we expect the various district assemblies to make sure that at least this survives. But I mean, even if
at this point, I think it's the Forestry Commission should just take control of it and then replant or nurture them to grow into bigger trees.
True. So I mean, these 5,981 seedlings that are in good condition, we expect that will not come here next month or in 2 months' time, and we are hearing something similar like we are discussing right now. But I mean, even if 50 seedlings were deliberately destroyed under these circumstances or left to waste under these circumstances, I think it's a big deal for a country that's struggling with all that's happening in our financial space right now, the economic downturn we are witnessing right now. I mean, any form of wastage really should be treated as a serious national issue, so we don't go back to some of these things again. 9.6 million Ghana cedis is a lot of money to invest into a project to let it end this way. And I want the Lands Ministry, which spearheaded this project, to take up this this very seriously and address.
They should be interested in it. And like I'm saying, I mean, in whoever's care, if indeed these are seedlings for the project, in whoever's care it was left. If you think that the day for the event or the project has elapsed and you still have this much, you could have simply advertised. Simply broadcast. I mean, there are people who want to plant trees in their homes. People want to plant trees in their spaces. And if you look at this area, that's the Asante Mampong area, there's actually a valley there. That has enough land.
You know the place very well.
That has enough land there for you to go and plant these. So
and even in Accra, I mean, we agree the level of gentrification, the rate of gentrification in Accra is really serious. In parts like East Legon and the rest, is quickly becoming a concrete jungle. But I mean, there are still areas where some of these seedlings could have been used and efficiently utilized. So I don't understand the logic at all. I mean, it's a clear case of what they say in Tree as Konongo Kaya. I mean, if you don't do it, you don't let someone else to do it.
This one is a bro. It's a bro.
Or probably. That is a better way. That's probably a better.
You know a crack, the mouse. So the little mouse was, the mother mouse was asking the little mouse to chew pepper on the farm. And then the little mouse was like, mommy, this thing, it's not sweet. It's only burning. And the mother was like, bro.
So I mean, clearly, if you don't do it, I'm sure there are other people who would want to. Like I'm saying, the rate of gentrification in Accra is serious. It's quickly becoming fast-paced, becoming a concrete jungle. So it was a great initiative. So I don't understand why we would sit down for some of these things to happen. It needs to be addressed as soon as possible and urgently.
Or perhaps someone is protecting someone or protecting themselves from something. Maybe they were given a target and they failed to meet that target, and for which reason they think it would make sense to go and dump the rest. But I mean, from the story, we understand there was a Kia truck operating within the area. It was being tracked only to find out that. So if that Kia truck, perhaps whoever was tracking it knows the registration number, should aid in the investigations, and really let's get to the bottom of this and let's have some heads roll. We need to be doing that to deter others from engaging in some of these things. But stay with us on CNR Extra, still ahead. Inspector General of Police reiterates the decision of the service to reject the tag that it is the most corrupt institution in the country based on research and surveys by various groups. We'll bring you the details shortly. Do stay.
Creamy Plus is a fully skimmed evaporated milk. Creamy Plus is available in a shop near you.
This message has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Welcome back. This is CNR Extra on Citi TV. I am in the studio with Jude Mensah Duncan, and we're looking at some of the stories that made it to our major news bulletin. You can also join in the conversation by sending in a text via WhatsApp 0550-585832. Now, over the years, a number of surveys or research findings have pointed to the fact that the Ghana Police Service is the most corrupt institution in the country. Well, this IGP, George Akufu-Dampare, does not agree with this. He's been insisting otherwise. Take a look at this clip.
Director General of Police IGP has reiterated that the police administration will continue to reject the tag that it is the most corrupt institution in the country based on research and surveys done by various groups. Speaking at a public lecture at KNUST, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare stated that most research works that point to the police as being the most corrupt institution in the country have questionable methodologies. The IGP also used the occasion to call on members of the general public to serve as informants to the police to help arrest criminals easily. We have more on this report filed by our Bureau Chief for the Middle Belt, Edward Opon-Mafo.
Service has over the years faced severe criticism from many Ghanaians. There have been a number of instances where the police administration has been accused of engaging in various unprofessional conducts. Following the appointment of Dr. George Akufu-Dampare as the Inspector General of Police, he has been on an agenda to transform the police service, and some drastic measures are being introduced to that effect. Speaking at a public lecture at KNUST under the theme, The Changing Face of Policing in Ghana, Expectations and the Role of the University, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare noted that he is seeking to change the entire face of the police service to a point where the public will see the police as a friend. Since many research works and surveys conducted by various groups have pointed to the police as being among the most corrupt institutions in the country, the IGP says, although they are working to tackle the issue of corruption among its personnel, his outfit, however, rejects such researches.
We've never said that they are not a couple of people who are doing things in a corrupt way, tarnishing the image of the service. We've never said that. We are doing all what we can to handle it. But we will never accept the fact that we are the most corrupt institution in the country. It is unfounded. Because all those researches have challenged methodologies. And at the appropriate time, we'll keep responding to them. But we also will keep working at the things that people over the years have used it against us and make us feel so uncomfortable when it comes to the issue of corruption. And when we get there, we will surely know that we are right. And we will get there.
He says the police is working to ensure that it gains the trust of the general public. He wants the police to be criticized by the public constructively in order to make it better. In line with this, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare has been highlighting strategic interventions which are being implemented to properly transform the service.
The first one is having a leadership-driven command and control culture. The second one is seeing to the personal development and the welfare of the personnel. And the third one is ensuring police professional standards and accountability. So I will cite a few of the things that we are currently doing when it comes to the first one. We have instituted a practical leadership-driven command and control culture at all levels of the service, such that personnel at all levels of the service are clearly in their minds what needs to be done and see to it that appropriate steps are taken to get it done. So that you don't need to overly wait for anybody to give you direction. You are a leader at any level that you find yourself. Then the second thing we've done along that chain is to ensure that each one of us at all the chain is appropriately empowered, such that as long as you do what is right and you do it professionally, we will have your back, and to the level that now there's a culture that everybody is arrestable, even including the ID. So what it is that just do what is right irrespective of your rank, and you have the full backing of the whole police administration, and nobody can intimidate you. And on that score, if we are to give you a list of people who have been arrested left, right, center, to shock you. Now you arrest people, they say, please, no lines about it. Take me to court. Everything thereof, absurd. But at first, when we started, we arrested one person, then people say political. We arrested the second person, they say another political issue. Now, they have all come to see and know that we didn't come just for one or two things. We came to maintain that consistency.
He added that the police, in its bid to improve the standard of policing, has put adequate measures in place to ensure that officers who flout the laws will be easily identified and dealt with in accordance with the law. He says the new strategy is also aimed at bringing officers closer to the community by frequently engaging the public to ensure the public is safe. He also noted that the police have come up with a strategy of having informants scattered across the country where they will be paid between 1,000 and 50,000 Ghana cedis. He believes this has significantly helped in reducing armed robbery cases in all parts of the country. The IGP further stated that the police administration is using technology to help arrest criminals as it is collaborating with the
Well, it's important that the IGP will want to whip up morale amongst his men, but it is equally important for the IGP to state categorically what measures have been taken to, as it were, reject the tag of being the most corrupt institution in the country. Because you see, it's not just the talk. I mean, when in this country, somebody said almost all the finest things ever, but when he was handed the work, we've seen how it's gone. You understand? So it will make more sense to see physically, practically what measures have been put in place to stem this in the bud. But then also, I mean, research findings by more than 2-3 institutions saying the same thing cannot be wrong.
I mean, you mentioned research findings, and for me, this is the crux of the matter, because it's not just about research findings on people's perception. One of it by Global Info Analytics, led by their lead director Musa Dankwa, was on public perception about the police. If that is what the IGP is responding to, then we can have a conversation about
for perception, it can be dealt with
but when a report with empirical evidence or data is done on people's personal experience, I find it very difficult to say you outrightly reject it like that. I mean, 65% of people, Ghanaians for that matter, said the police are most corrupt. That was 65%. Another 31% said there's believed to be somewhat corrupt. So, I mean, looking at these numbers don't lie. So, it's very difficult for me to understand why you'd say you reject it, unless of course you want to say...
The IGP's problem is with the methodology. I mean, he describes it as selective ranking. from his position, it looks as though the police is the easy target for some of these organizations when it comes to running some of these services.
But you see, for the Afrobarometer report, for instance, which I believe largely the IGP was referring to, I mean, it wasn't only the police service they sort of had the research conducted on. Other agencies are part, customs, even the presidency as part. So I find it very difficult to understand why he would want to believe that the police are being witch hunted. So that's just about it. And of course, unless of course you want to tell me that you want to continue to stay in the state of perpetuity in self-denial, then that is fine. But I see, I have another interesting approach. I look at some of these things. Nana to for which people do we pick from, or what is the market we pick from for the police service? It is definitely from a pool of Ghanaians. I don't want to believe that it is when they get into the police service is when they begin to become corrupt. More often than not, some of the police officers are even enticed by the people they meet on the road, and that. So it's a very bigger conversation we should be having, and that is where I feel the IGP really didn't address. For me, I was thinking I was going to use the public lecture to call for a broadened approach to looking at the issue, because the giver of the bribe and the receiver of the bribe are both complicit. Exactly. So to just sort of deny and thank you very much, to absolve yourself from such a fact finding exercise research like this, I struggle to understand it. So I'll urge or plead with Mr. George Okufu-Dampare. I think when he became IGP, we've seen some significant improvements in some areas.
I see, that's what I was hoping he would hammer on more rather than the tag and all that, because you see, if you're able to show what you are doing, contrary to what the research finding is saying, then there's a fertile ground for a proper debate.
True.
You understand? True. But if you just come to say in plain words that you reject the tag, and there's nothing to show for it, because mind you, the police is the most visible agency.
So that alone accounts for something.
And we engage them on a daily basis.
Maybe.
So where I would want to agree with him is that it makes them an easy target.
True.
You understand?
True.
Because I mean, generally the populace does not deal with the military as much as they deal with the police.
Customs,
exactly.
And all of those things.
So you tend to agree with him on some of these. But then, if he's able to show that I have put in this, this officer, after being interdicted for so and so, has gone through this type of investigation, has been prosecuted or so and so. I mean, there's something to show or prove. Then we can support him in rejecting the tag. But if it's just words, mere rhetoric, then I don't know. I'm sorry.
I mean, like I was saying the other time on the show, we've become a country that's been largely very high on rhetorics. You have a high blood pressure for rhetorics, but when it comes to doing the actual words or the deeds, we have a serious anemia. So it's unfortunate, and I expect him to show working, like they say, on the grounds and get his men to begin to espouse the core values of policing that you expect from the police service. So we'll leave it there, but I hope the IGP is working aside the talking to make it clear that indeed they are an easy target and they are not the most corrupt institution in the country.
All right, talk about the police service. A foreigner has been picked up on suspicion or of being suspected of engaging in suspicious activities. Let's get the details in this report.
5-year-old foreign national is in the grips of the Zabzugu police for allegedly engaging in suspicious activities. Youth in Zabzugu on Monday evening nearly lynched him on suspicion of being a terrorist. According to the youth in the town, recently there have been some unknown persons in the town, about 6 men, pretending to be insane, but a close monitoring of their activity showed them making phone calls. This raised suspicion among the youth because of recent terrorist activities in the sub-region. The suspect was arrested and is currently in the custody pending investigations. Our correspondent Mohammed Aminu Alabira has more.
Due to the recent issues of terrorism in the sub-region and suspicion of possible jihadist attack in the country, the government has launched a program to ensure the security apparatus is alerted when necessary. The government launched the Operation See Something, Say Something. Monday evening, the youth of Zabzugu were alarmed by the presence of some unknown persons in the town. According to the youth, Some unknown persons have recently invaded the town, many of them pretending to be insane persons. The youth started monitoring them, and according to them, one of the men was seen making phone calls. This raised their suspicion, and they decided to attack him. The man, according to the youth, threw away the phone and ran to elderly people for protection. The suspect, according to the assemblyman, is a foreigner who is said to be from Chad. According to them, he speaks Hausa language. Assemblyman for Zabzugu South, who came to the rescue of the suspect, has been narrating to Citi News on what he had to do.
I had one of them interacted with him. He told me that they were hearing that some people will come to Ghana. Some bad people from different countries will come to Ghana. They suspected that man as one of them. So that was why they were trying to chase him out from the district.
Some of the youth have also been speaking to Citi News on what they saw.
For about a week now, we saw a lot of madmen, which is very, very surprising. They just came in bulk, about 4 or 5 of them. So this is what is happening, and this is what I have learned from. So, and there's a suspect that maybe Boko Haram is trying to come and tap some informations within our place.
So tinya dan monitor so rum monitor ma ka te zane do me dagbana e ko to garla la ka tinye barna shele ka te zanni ma ne tinya bu ni tele te zan ma ka tinya la ne dan kana shem ka babu yinya ma ko zona te kwe bu yule won zona te kwe bu yule ma a te za bi fa ba ma fune to na ba me zil so me no ombe kwe ma the
police in Zabzugu have declined to speak to Citi News, but said the suspect is still in custody pending investigations. Zabzugu is close to the Ghana-Togo border, sharing boundaries with Tatali Sangule. There has been movement of people to and from the area. The district chief executive for Zabzugu, Ahmed Adakwa, has been speaking to Citi News.
A series of meetings that we've been holding, if not quarterly, but every 3 weeks, we hold meetings and then empower our security personnel to, as it were, patrol the unapproved route. We are aware that today you will have vehicles who used to pass through Tamale, now taking this route. That means Togo, Tatali, Zabzugu to Tamale. And upon inquiry, there are people from Burkina Faso extraction because that place is ungovernable in terms of security threat. That is why they have now changed the route. We have not allowed them to pass in and out without actually interrogating them.
The youth, and for that matter, residents of Zabzugu, say they are living in fear and are therefore calling on the national security apparatus to up its game in combating the issue.
Well, we know that the Ministry for National Security and the Ministry for the Interior have put the country on high alert owing to activities of insurgents in neighboring countries. So I think it's a step in the right direction that citizens will be conscious of their environments, of their people, and will be able to detect foreigners when they come in and also monitor their activities and raise alarm if need be. However, my concern is the near lynching part because regardless, you may be wrong in your suspicion or in your monitoring, and so you do not take the law into your own hands to attack persons based on your suspicion that they may be this or that. It is important that you alert the authorities, in this case the Ghana Police Service, and then they move into action, pick such persons up, investigate, and then if need be prosecute.
I mean, if you look at the unrest we are witnessing currently in the Sahel region, for that matter, some parts of the north of this country. It's unfortunate. I was looking at the EIA report on Ghana's briefing and outlook on Ghana, and if you look at the security part of the report, it talks about the likelihood of a terrorist attack in the country, and for them, the EIU, they rate it at 12 out of, I think, the 25 points, and their REX analysis, they say it's moderately high. So for me, it brings back to the question, efforts you are making to really check some of these things and make sure that it's nipped in the bud with the slightest of indication. And that is why I really endorse the say something, see something, say something. But like you're saying, I agree that you have to do it in a responsible manner. The fact that you've seen something may not necessarily mean that it is what you are thinking it is. So we want to encourage everybody to be on the high alert, especially the National Security Ministry, which of course is mandated to be checking some of these things. But like you're saying, let's do it in a responsible manner. Exactly. Let's make sure that we look out for each other, especially in these very not so... the times are not right, clearly. The times are not right, especially if you read all that is happening around. So, yes, we would call on all the stakeholders to make sure that they're on high alert so that we nip some of these things in the bud.
All right, but let's be responsible about it, just as you mentioned, because these persons, if indeed are who we suspect they are, may be in a position to harm you, the individual. So just get the right agency or the right authority to deal with such persons if you suspect them to be engaging in some suspicious activities or otherwise. We have one message here. This one is from Bismarck from Ho, and he says, "Good morning, Mr. Host. I was very bitter about how the GJA president took the issue at the press conference, but the way you went about it now made me feel better. You don't judge a subordinate right before a superior, even if he, the superior, is wrong. Let's respect tradition as well." You'd want to agree with Bismarck to an extent on this one. Let us hear from you as well. Send your comment or your text via the WhatsApp number 0550-585832. Stay with us on CNR Extra. Still ahead. Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral dismisses reports that some of its members have resigned. We have the details coming up. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is CNR Extra on Citi TV. News about the National Cathedral continues to lag in the media space. This time, the Board of Trustees has been speaking.
The Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral has refuted reports that some of the members have resigned from the board. The board adds that it remains resolute in ensuring the facility is built despite the controversy surrounding the topic. The board indicates that although the General Overseer of the International Central Gospel Church, Pastor Mensa Otabil, indicated his intentions to stay out, he still helped members on the board to discharge their mandate. The board said it had so far raised about 32 million Ghana cedis through fundraising and other donations, but said the recent politicization of the project was affecting donations. Citi News' Ashanti Regional Correspondent Hafiz Tijani has more.
Construction of the National Cathedral project has been rocked with a lot of controversy, even as the government and the Secretariat intensify efforts to raise funds to build the facility. Members of the Board of Trustees and the Secretariat believe the emerging issues surrounding the construction of the monument are setbacks that will be overcome.
There is not a single cathedral member who has resigned. And I categorically state this, that even Dr. Mensa Otabil, up till today, is always on phone with us, encouraging us, bringing his suggestions, and telling us what should be done. For what the personal reasons are, I don't think they are personal and so cannot be discussed here. That notwithstanding, no cathedral member has resigned and is ready to resign. We are even stronger now and more resolute that this cathedral will be built at all costs.
The Chief Executive Officer of the National Cathedral Project, Dr. Paul Opoku-Mensah, expressed concerns over how continuous politicization was affecting efforts to raise funds for the project.
Because that is where they anchor it. Anybody who wants to politicize any issue goes to the media. I mean, without you, nothing in this country can be politicized. So, will it affect the project? Of course it will. I mean, even our fundraising was affected. In fact, at the time when this noise came, we were in the process of bringing one of the key international donors, the founder of the Bible Museum, Steve Green. He was supposed to be here in July. All of a sudden, they send this thing that, look, Paul, what are we hearing? All this noise about this cathedral. They say we are misapplying money. And so, of course, it does affect this project. And it affects not just this project, but our country's development. And I think part of what we hope these conversations allow us to do is really critically begin to reflect on what this thing does to all of us.
The Kumasi Council of Christian Churches is pledging support to the building of the cathedral and pledged to mobilize congregants to contribute towards the project.
We support the partnership between the state and the Ghanaian Christian community proposed by the President to construct the National Cathedral. Just as in the Bible and in the church history, the people of God funded such projects. So also, now that the church must mobilize ourselves to raise funds to fund the project, we must take up the challenge.
On the streets of Kumasi, some members of the Christian faith expressed varied views on the funding of the project.
Oh yes, of course. I'm willing to at least contribute to the, fulfillment of the National Cathedral, because it is somehow the work of God. And whenever you are able to at least contribute or give, to the advancement of the kingdom of God, it's going to be a blessing to you and your family. So I'm willing to at least donate whenever, they come to my church. I'll do that.
Yeah, if you have to pay, I don't have any problem about it. Yeah, I think it's a good thing, but then it being a good thing, I don't think it's necessary. But then if we are to ask to pay, yeah, of course I'll pay. We see the Christian group, we have different ways of doing our things, like the Jehovah Witness, those who attend the SDAs and the other. I don't think the agreements will be so perfect for us to worship in one place. So
the leadership of the Christian community in the Ashanti region wants all Christians to come on board to ensure the project is completed.
Leadership of the Christian community in the Ashanti region is mobilizing congregants to get them to contribute to the building of the National Cathedral. But some Christians within the region still have some diverse views on the building of the project. Hafiz Tijani, Citi News, Kumasi.
Cathedral. Yeah, I don't know. I have no words for this. Maybe you have a take on this, because I'm really worried why we are in this economic mess, and the board of trustees think this is the time to concern themselves with who has resigned and who hasn't. Really, this trip to Kumasi was to solicit funds.
Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But I see, Nana, some time ago, on one of our shows, the Point of View show, when Member of Parliament for North Tongu, Samuel Kojetua Blakwa, gave hints of a possible resignation by one of the board of trustee members, the Secretariat came out quite strongly to refute those claims and at the time states the record as it was. a day or two later, we heard the story that confirmation about.
Now they are attributing it to a website that's happened.
Whatever it is. And now we are even reading that apparently he stayed out, he's opted to stay out per the reports, but is willing to help members on the board discharge their mandate or whatever it means. That's fair. But you see, I hope it's not another situation or this is not repeating itself where we are hearing of the resignation of some of the members only for them to deny, then subsequently the confirmation comes. I mean, it's unfortunate, like Dr. Paul Opoku-Mensah was saying. He's the executive secretary for the National Cathedral Secretariat. I mean, all that is happening is unfortunate. I mean, I think there's been a major shift from what the initial plan is, and it's of course a result. And the problem lies squarely with, I mean, the communication that has come out from some of these things. So it's sad that it has to get to this point where there's appears to be a significant public distrust, really, with the project with regards to procurement, with regards to the efficient utilization of funds. Because initially we heard that it was a project that was going to be handled by the private sector with some sort of support from the government. Then all of a sudden, this government giving out a lot of seed money just weeks before the finance minister announced 12 cost-cutting measures to salvage the economy. So government, to a large extent, put itself in this situation, and it's very difficult to have any sort of remorse for them. But I mean, the project has started already, and I expect the Christian community to take it up. If they want to do it, they can do it. I believe they have the capacity. Look at what's happening at the PCC, at the Pentecost Convention Center in Gomafete. Look at the light. Now they say it's UD, the Lighthouse Chapel, as you know it. They have the Anakazo Royal House Chapel.
Our National Theatre building has been sitting there since when? Even the air conditioning in there doesn't work. You get it? Like I said, I have no words for this. I mean, this is your take, and it's fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
we'll leave it for the public to judge.
The churches can take it up, and I believe that if there's unity in purpose, the churches can just easily take it up. I mean, look at the ICGC infrastructure in somewhere.
Individual churches have done it,
so they should come together.
Why does the state have to? I mean, like I said, I don't want to go on this.
That is what
my only issue is the dent it may leave on the individuals sitting on the board, because these are revered persons in the Ghanaian society.
And briefly, when you come out to publicly say that there's an alleged resignation, I expected that those members of the board
would have been up there to speak for themselves.
Exactly, or even if they're not even going to speak, just put them on the stage and let us see that indeed they are supporting.
Like I say,
but if they are silent on the matter, I mean, silence is consent. So clearly, we wish them well, because, like they are saying, it's not only for consumption, because to also bring in some revenue. We hope to see.
IMF is coming. We'll see. But thank you so much, Jude Mensah Duncan.
It was fun.
This has been our show for today. My name is Nanatufo Boateng. Many thanks to you for watching. We'll see you again.